watch this. Pop off and pop shit. Dog, I see everything, so come and try to stop this. Take your best shot at the head or at the heart. See, I control everything. I'm ready for the dub. Let it spark.
I'm Bruce Straley. I'm the game director on The Last of Us.
And I'm Neil Druckmann. I'm the creative director on The Last of Us.
We are here with Noah, creative director on Tomb Raider. We have some awesome questions for you, so you ready?
Yeah.
We don't have to do this. You know that, right?
Is anyone listening? Please respond.
There are no heroes here.
Stop kidding! Shotsfired! Hey yo, what up? It's your boy Hip Hop Gamer. Welcome to Shotsfired 2.0. Now check this out. We got The Last of Us versus Tomb Raider. The reason why I created Shotsfired 2.0 is because you have some amazing, talented game developers behind these titles. And anytime I see certain comparisons or people talk about the games, they talk about the games only, but not the brains behind the game. So big shout out to my man Neil and Bruce on The Last of Us side, and a big shout out to my man Noah, who's the game director on Tomb Raider. So what I'm doing is taking Noah and taking Neil, and they are battling it out right now. And the first round is going to be with graphics. The Last of Us versus Tomb Raider, the definitive edition versus the remastered. Are you ready for this? It's your boy Hip Hop Gamer. Let's go. Round one, graphics. We're going to start out with character models. Yo, The Last of Us character models just is mind-blowing on the PS4. Seriously, it's like the clarity. I mean, you can see the individual buttons, you know what I'm saying, on Joel's shirt. Like, it looked that much more detailed, you know what I'm saying, in terms of the character models, the hairs on his arm, everything that you see it a lot more details, a lot more clarity in it. Even the individual spikes of hair, like you see all of this stuff much clearer. Even the color, you know what I'm saying, like the color seems not overly vibrant and everything. It seems like you're really there, and that's how his shirt look and his pants look and stuff. To me, I just think the attention to detail on the character models is amazing on The Last of Us. You definitely see a lot more as opposed to the PS3 version, and the PS3 version was great too, but the PS4 is just, it's like the extra polish was definitely worth it, in my opinion, from what I saw in the character models. Now let's move on over to Tomb Raider, and you look at her character model, Lara Croft. Oh my god, like, you know, I mean, you might want to bring this game back out and play it all over again. Like, the game, character model wise, look so, I mean, the skin, you know what I'm saying, the discoloration in her face at times, depending on what she's doing, you know what I'm saying, the flow of hair, like, you know, the tress effects, like the hair, like everything stands out so detailed. Both games look incredible, but there has to be one winner. Now, this was the hardest part. I literally had to play The Last of Us and Tomb Raider, like, you know, 3 or 4 times, just playing, you know, just playing out the beginning parts, just constantly playing them and comparing them, and it's hard, you know what I'm saying? It really is. But here's how I came to my deciding factor. When you're playing The Last of Us and you pan around with the analog stick, you can really see the whole character model. You can pan around. And with The Last of Us, there's like a little blurring effect that it has, but the blurring effect takes away from the detail a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It really does. Whereas Tomb Raider, everything is polished. It looks great. There's really no blur effect. Everything just really looks that much more smooth. So in the motion, or even in the standstill, that character model pops out. It pops. So at the end of the day, by a small margin, dog, like, I had to go with Lara Croft looking a little bit better than, you know, Joel in The Last of Us. So when it comes down to character models, Tomb Raider wins it by a small margin. I'm telling you, by a small margin. But I know it may be hard to believe because when you look at The Last of Us, you're like, wow. But go back and take a look at that Tomb Raider, man. Play that game and really look at it and do a good analysis on it. And maybe you'll come to the same conclusion that I did. But when it comes to character models, I had to give it to Tomb Raider. Now, we're going to move on to environments. Now, in the environments, this is very tricky. The reason why is because Tomb Raider has a bit more of an open world-ish type of feel, whereas, you know, Last of Us, they have a great world to play in, but it's more static. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, when you walk into a room in The Last of Us and you're just walking around and you see the trees and it looks amazing. It is beautiful. Like, it looks so detailed, especially when you go into like a apartment, like a regular room, and you looking at the kitchen. It looked like you could eat off the kitchen. Like this. Oh my, yo, The Last of Us is sick. Like, it looks so real. Now I'm gonna move on over to Tomb Raider. They obviously got, you know, different scenery and stuff like that. But in Tomb Raider, when you walk in there and you looking at the environment, it's like, yo, it just looks beautiful and it looks more full. There's a lot more going on in the environment of Tomb Raider. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a bigger environment. But when you go into like the closed areas and stuff like that, it still looks insanely detailed. Insanely detailed. So once again, this was extremely hard for me, like, to, you know, figure this out in terms of just strictly environmental detail. You know what I'm saying? It's very hard. You know what I'm saying? But I give the slight edge to The Last of Us when it comes to environmental detail. And the reason why I give them a slight edge is because when you walk into certain areas in The Last of Us, and like I said, when you see the kitchen and tables, and just when you in people's houses and you looking at books and stuff like that, the detail is just that much more. It just has an extra polish to it that puts it over the hill over Tomb Raider. So when it comes to the environmental detail, Last of Us gets it. One versus one right now. We getting it in, baby. You know what I'm saying? We getting it in. Now, we're going to talk about special effects. Now, when it comes to special effects, I got to be honest with you guys. Both games, once again, this is a hard battle. You know what I'm saying? My man Noah over on Tomb Raider, and my man Neil over on The Last of Us. Naughty Dog versus Crystal Dynamics right now. They going at it. But for the third category in graphics, I got to give the win to Tomb Raider. Yo, when it comes to special effects, Tomb Raider got it. Period. They got it. And the reason why I say that is because when you look at the fire, whether you're holding a torch and everything, when you look at the fire, when you look at the explosions, when you look at the water, when you look at the wind blowing, like, there's so much. It's not just about how many special effects is there, but the impact of the special effects and everything that's going on. You know what I'm saying? It's like the way it looks, the way it comes together dynamically. The Last of Us, they got great special effects as well, especially when you shoot somebody face off and you see this, like, brains go everywhere, like, everything like that. It's amazing. Don't get me wrong. It looks incredible. You already know what the trailer was at E3 that time. But Tomb Raider takes it to another level, and especially the abuse that Tomb Raider, you know, that Lara Croft takes from getting stabbed here, and then, you know, there's parts where you, like, in blood, and then when it comes down to your character model, the special effects on your character model, or the blood that Lara Croft has on her body, and then what happens to the enemies when you shoot them, like, all of that. Tomb Raider got it. And that's not by a little margin. They kind of widened the gap on that particular battle. So that's 2 for Tomb Raider, 1 for The Last of Us. Now, let's talk animation. Now, this right here, once again, was very, very difficult. It was very difficult because the animation in this game, it was more like, how can I say it? It was more like, when you look at Tomb Raider and just her running animation and jumping, leaping abilities, fighting, climbing and everything, there's a lot of different aspects to the Tomb Raider game, so you're seeing so many different animations. But when you look at The Last of Us and stuff like that, you know, you got the natural walk and that looks real, obviously. But in The Last of Us, you have fighting mechanics, whereas in Tomb Raider, you don't really have a fighting mechanic and stuff. So with The Last of Us, you got a fighting mechanic, and then, you know, you're running, you got the fighting mechanic, then, you know, even when you're crouching down, and just the different type of things, I just feel Last of Us brings a bit more believability when certain things happen in the game, as opposed to Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. You know what I'm saying? They both believable, don't get it twisted, but one edges out another slightly. There's a slight edge, and The Last of Us, in my opinion, wins when it comes to animation, because I'm telling you, when you fighting, and then like you gotta hold somebody off, and then you ducking, then you take their face, boom, boom, you do this, and then you take the gun out, bow, then you running, and then you ducking, then you yoking them up. Like, there's a lot of animation that came with this particular game, and I think The Last of Us edges it out just by a little bit. So that's 2 versus 2. You know what I'm saying? And now we gotta break it down to the actual X factor. Now, to me, when it comes to X factor, like, I give the edge to Tomb Raider. Now, the reason why the whole reason why I'm doing the X factor right now is because it's 2-2. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta have some sort of tiebreaker. So I created a way to break the tie with the X factor, and the X factor of this particular situation is, you know, The Last of Us is a PlayStation exclusive. You know what I'm saying? So from a developer standpoint, looking at the PlayStation and the power that it has, you know, from an exclusive standpoint, you would expect it to be, you know, a bit more dominant when it comes to an exclusive, as opposed to a game that's on both platforms, because those particular developers got more to worry about, whereas Neil only had one platform to worry about. So the thing is, it's one of those situations where, you know, less is more, because if Noah only had one system to focus on, considering what they got out of working on multi-platform, then we might have seen, you know, Tomb Raider be that much better than what we already got if they was only focused on one. You see what I'm saying? So that's one X factor that you gotta think of. And to me, another thing, because Tomb Raider is more open world and still maintain to have this graphical fidelity, The Last of Us really isn't open world. It has great scenery, but it's really not open worldish like that. It's pretty much a linear game, and because of that, you would expect more in other areas because the exploration factor is kind of low. You see what I'm saying? So it takes more to do what Tomb Raider is doing as opposed to what Last of Us is doing. And those are my X factor reasons why I feel Tomb Raider beats The Last of Us when it comes to round 1 graphics. Round 2, this is gameplay. And I'm going to tell you this, both games play incredible. But I gotta give the edge to Tomb Raider. The reason why I give the edge to Tomb Raider is because Tomb Raider has a bit more tighter controls when it comes to the gameplay. A bit more tighter controls. And what I mean by that, it's all about the movement and response factor when you're playing any game. It's all about how responsive it is, the character movement, and how easy it is to pull off the abilities they have. And when you look at Tomb Raider versus The Last of Us, Tomb Raider, from the acrobatics and jumping around to just, you know, pulling out your gun and shooting, and how randomized it is, and even when you're, you know, lighting your torch and you just hold the button and it just builds up, and then you do all these things. It's the combination of it all. And then, you know, when you gotta dodge and stuff and run around, the movement and the control allows you to be more evasive, which makes the gameplay more fun, and it creates more tension with the action and the way it comes at you. So I give the edge to Tomb Raider when it comes to gameplay. Now, The Last of Us gameplay is phenomenal as well, because when you fighting these people, the fighting feels amazing. The counter system is amazing. You running and hiding as well, and then the gun game is great too and stuff like that. But to me, I feel that this is another slight one, but when it comes to gameplay, it's all about how responsive it is and the feel of the movement. And I'm gonna tell you something. All Tomb Raider is 60 frames per second on the PS4, and The Last of Us is 60 frames per second on the PS4. But here's the difference maker. Because Tomb Raider has a bit more clarity from what you're seeing, it enhances the way you feel it because of the clarity of what you see. Whereas in The Last of Us, there's some blur effects, and that little spot off on detail kind of takes away from the feel a bit. I know it may sound weird, but if you play the game and you see this comparison like how I did it, you'll understand it as a gamer. You feel me? So gameplay definitely goes to Tomb Raider by a small amount, dog. Small amount. You know what I'm saying? And to finish it off, obviously it's fun factor. You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to fun, both games are incredibly fun to play. I love it. But when it comes to fun for me, you know, I gotta give like the edge to, you know, The Last of Us to end it off in terms of fun factor. And the reason why I say that is because the dynamics of everything between like the way the story is and, you know, the dialogue and everything like that, it's a lot more, you know, I wouldn't say personal, but all these different characters that you encounter and stuff like that, I just feel it's a lot more serious. It's much more crazier to me. It was a more fun experience when I was playing that game as opposed to Tomb Raider. But even though that's still an edge. So overall, when I look at the graphics, when I look at the gameplay, when I look at the fun factor, and just everything this game has to offer, I gotta give the edge overall to Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is incredible, and I mean, it'll literally blow you away. And like I said, The Last of Us, especially with the online of Last of Us and the way it is now, both games are incredible. They both worth buying. But if you only had $60 in your pocket and you had to choose one, whew, I think I may have to go with Tomb Raider. So Tomb Raider beats The Last of Us in this episode of Shots Fired 2.0. I love both games, but if you want to break it down for gameplay, graphics, and fun factor, overall, Tomb Raider got it. It's your boy Hip Hop Gamer. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Leave your comments, let me know what you think, and I definitely got more coming. But if there's certain games that you want me to compare and do and stuff like that, let me know. I'll be happy to do it. And also, there's no limits. It'll be new games, it could be retro games. It's just all about comparing games and comparing the minds behind the game. So if you really like this episode and you really like what I'm doing, please put some suggestions on games that you want to see go up against each other, and stay tuned for the other games that I already got ready to go that's going to be released soon. One love and God bless. Your boy Hip Hop Gamer. Peace.